this lovely directory which, among other things, has a whole list of places that stock Fairtrade or support Fairtrade in some way. So there are a lot of shops, bigger and smaller shops, where you can buy Fairtrade products, also a lot of Fairtrade schools, Fairtrade churches, cafes and restaurants. We can easily find and make sure that what you buy and what you eat is Fairtrade.
We've also got a website, so we try to keep the directory a bit more up to date. This has actually been around a year or two now, but if you go on the website, then you will see something a bit more up to date. When we have time, we chase after things. To become a Fairtrade borough, we had to have a certain number, it relates to the population, so we had to have a certain number of restaurants using Fairtrade, tea and coffee or whatever, 2 Fairtrade items. We had to have a certain number of shops. We had to have a flagship industrial place using it, Fairtrade for their staff. We had to have the council on board. You have to show that things are going on in schools. You have to show in faith groups that there's support, and also community and voluntary groups. And the media. You have to show the media as well. And we've had a lot of good support, especially from the Warrington Guardian, but from a number of different local places. So that was the sort of things, and most of that is listed in the directory.
Well, that kind of illustrates the partnership again, doesn't it? It's not just shops, it's all these different outlets, all these different people playing their part in Fairtrade status.
That's right.
Okay, good. All right, thank you for that. Churches you mentioned. Now, I've got a vested interest in this, but I remember a few years ago at a celebration in Golden Square, we had churches that had been active in Fairtrade a lot and gave them each little presentation tea night. What's been the role of churches through the years? I don't know what the percentage is, but quite a few of you come from faith groups. What's been the role of churches in all this business?
Well, it's been pretty massive, really, yeah. Most of our volunteers at the shop, well, probably 2/3 anyway, have come through their churches, the link there.
And you can be a Fairtrade church, presumably?
Yes, you can be a Fairtrade church, yeah.
And is there a list of Fairtrade churches?
Yes, we have a list of Fairtrade churches, which we managed to...
And do you have to apply for that? How do you become a Fairtrade church?
Yeah, you've got to get a form, a couple of forms. It's not a big deal.
Fairtrade works by forms.
Yeah.
You have to write with a banana.
The church has to pass its meeting. However, different denominations have different type of meetings.
Because I have church folk, leaders, who think they're a Fairtrade church, but haven't actually gone through that process.
No,
so it's not just selling a Fairtrade coffee or whatever. No. You actually have to go through
a process. You have to commit to only using Fairtrade tea and coffee.
Oh, okay.
You have to commit to trying to do more year on year. You have to commit to doing activities at some point through the year, ideally in Fairtrade fortnight.
Just let me bowl a googly, don't be warm about this one. I met a lady the other day who said, I support Fairtrade, but the coffee's horrible. What do you say to that?
I say, I don't like Maxwell House, or did before there was a Fairtrade. I didn't like Maxwell House, but I liked Nescafe.
Doesn't that hurt? Wash your hands.
Up the skies. There are probably about 50 at least different types of Fairtrade coffee.
Oh, so it's not a Fairtrade coffee.
Because there will be differences in there, the same as there are differences in otherwise one would be all the different ordinary coffees.
Don't mention mellow birds.
Well, I think that they're improving all the time, so the quality is much better than the original.
Yeah, I think when Fairtrade coffee first came out,
it was a bit grim. So there are lots.
That's years and years ago.
Okay, I've just been looking at the early days and sort of partnership activity. I see that Fairtrade did stuff at Orford Festival many years ago. I mean, I don't know whether that's selling cakes or whatever.
I know that, I remember that only too well.
Was it muddy?
Yes, I remember. No, it turned out very wet. It ended with a thunderstorm. But we had taken over the cafe.
That's Orford for you.
We'd taken over the cafe for the day and we had done the food that people could come in. But It was so hot that everybody was on the field, but then the hot thing ended in a front
We did
store.
have a sudden rush at the end, didn't we?
Yes, so everybody had freezers full of cakes for quite a long time.
And I remember occasions when retailers have shared, you know, come and join us and supported with samples and stuff. And I remember occasion a year or two ago when, because one retailer had produced a load of samples, suddenly all the others decided they should bring in their branded samples as well. So I mean, we have had support from various retailers, and certainly the co-op has been at the forefront of supporting us financially and
That's right.
enabling us to put on a show, haven't they?
Yeah, and the first, one of the original members of the steering group was Guy, who used to own the White Apron in town, and
well, actually, I want to ask, well, two things. One, Borders, which I think is now closed, just shows to show what happens when you cooperate with Fairtrade. Borders did a quiz, didn't they? Included Fairtrade questions in the quiz. So we've had a lot of cooperation from these people in the bar.
They used to sell bars of Divine next to the tills, and they sold really well. So, so that was good anyway.
But then restaurants.
We approached them to do a book special, which they did on, because there were a number of books that had come out from Fairtrade, but they had a weekly quiz, and they also put around questions, Fairtrade questions in them as well.
And restaurants did some of menus, didn't they? What was that all about?
Yes, 1 year when it was coming up to Fairtrade fortnights, the restaurants that we knew were interested in Fairtrade. We asked them if they would create a special dish that they would have on sale during the Fairtrade fortnight. And 1 or 2 did actually do that.
Okay. Excellent. All right. I mean, all this happened in the early days of that Fairtrade steering group. I saw Alan somewhere. Alan is there, who was our first chair in those early days, who guided Fairtrade work. And I was reading the forms he filled in only today to try and illustrate how we're up to it. Now, Paul is in Warrington Market. I mean, Warrington Market have not only obviously hosted Fair for all the years, but in lots of little ways and big ways have enabled Fairtrade activity to go on. I mean, some of you know Hazel's cafe. Hazel has supplied endless cups of tea to Fairtrade workers through the night. We've had, I mean, I've just been looking, we've had Harvest Festival celebrations there. You've had tea dances with the White Rabbit. We've had a big tea swap. We've had quiz trails. Just tell us a bit about what the market's done. And indeed, not only is the Mayor's chaplain, she's also the market chaplain. See, multitasking, right? They decided between those two.
One of the things we did last year was a big tea dance event where we set up that there were tables and chairs out where people could just sit and enjoy a free cup of Fairtrade tea, and also try out dances from all over the world. There was an instructor who showed us the dances, and anyone could join in, and it was a lot of fun.
Yes, it was. That's what the t-shirt, that was the theme last year, folks. The tea was the main push last year.
And what's the big tea swap shop?
At Fair for All, they, if you brought in your tea, if it wasn't Fairtrade tea, they would swap your non-Fairtrade tea for a Fairtrade tea for you to try, and hopefully...
Did you bring a bag or
you could bring in one tea bag and we did our whole box.
Could it be a used tea bag?
No. We tried that one, but we did have 1 or 2 folk brought large boxes with one bag in it. Which was fine.
Okay.
That's what it was.
Another partner which is more currently is Rugby Stadium. With the rugby, the Wolves. Through the years they have supported us with advertising and posters and so on, haven't they? But one of the Fairtrade products is rugby balls.
Yes.